We still have the government shutdown going on. A little bit longer than most of us thought. I mean, considering this is the third longest government shutdown we've had historically, it is a long shutdown. But I don't think most of us are feeling any of the pain yet. Although, obviously, if you've been paying attention to the news, SNAP is a big controversy, and people are worried that they're not going to get any money November 1st. And there are fragments of society that get SNAP that are threatening violence or looting or stealing if their EBT cards don't get refilled. It's weird to be threatening violence if you don't get something for free. After all, this is supplemental. It's a benefit, and I completely understand. There are families out there that need it, but at the same time, this is generosity, and it is helpful, and we all need help. But at the end of the day, we have to be able to take care of ourselves. And I completely understand that people come into situations at critical points in their life that makes it impossible. But I don't think that's the argument here. The majority of people probably that are complaining are lifetime committed members to SNAP. The important aspect is, are we really going to lose SNAP? Are we really not going to be feeding the needy people that need to be fed? And personally, I don't believe it, right? Governor Newsom of California, he said he's going to use the National Guard to use and help with food banks to distribute food. Although I personally don't think it's going to get as terrible as everybody's painting it. I think at the end of the day, there should be some sort of reserve funds that each state has. And there are states that do have, like Vermont, that has $100 million in reserves, which in theory should go for a few months with help supplementing SNAP if SNAP does not get federally funded. And let's say there are giant states with giant economies like California that take so much from their taxpayers, they should definitely have a reserve to help with these kind of situations. But as we've learned from what happened with the wildfires, California does not seem to be investing into its infrastructure or emergency reserves as it should be. So in theory, right, from both sides, there's going to be different information coming. But to my understanding from what I've read so far is that Republicans have tried to come up with compromises 13 times. And 13 times they've been rejected for continued resolutions because the Democrats want broader negotiations. Now, Republicans and people that are against these whole SNAP benefits, they're bringing up the fact that a lot of undocumented or in reality illegal immigrants are the ones receiving these benefits. And I think that's really probably true. And at the end of the day, if we do get into these emergency reserves, I do not think if you are not a legal resident and you have never contributed to the system or the infrastructure, should you be benefiting from it. And I think that is something that this country needs to address, really focusing on American citizens first. And when I say that, don't assume that anywhere in there is race involved in America first or America invest into itself. That's every American in the United States who's here, who is part of the system, who contributed to the system legally without criminal issues, should be getting benefits or help when possible and when legitimate. Now, this whole government shutdown is hitting federal workers the most. I believe from what I've seen when it comes to numbers, it's $500 million a day, and the people that are getting hit the hardest are the federal workers by this government shutdown. I don't think the only thing holding back from compromise is whether undocumented or illegal immigrants are getting Medicaid or getting EBT. Something else is going on behind the scenes. As always, whenever we pass any sort of legislation or budget, there's always contingency things being added to those compromises. And I'm sure, and I don't know who it is, I don't know if it's Republican or Democrat, somebody's trying to add things that do not need to be there. We simply need to focus on the US budget. We need to figure out how to balance it, and we need to figure out where our funds should be going. And they shouldn't be going everywhere. They should be going to us. They should be going to our infrastructure. They should be going to us to help us. The amount of money in the last 6 years that have gone out to so many different foreign aids is ridiculous. The fact that this country is still arguing whether or not we should have some sort of great healthcare benefits and plans for its citizens is ridiculous. Because if we're sending money as ridiculous as it is to Ukraine, to Venezuela, to Africa, to all these other countries. When we can't take care of our own people, I don't care what side of the spectrum you're on, it's ridiculous and it's gross. And I'm not saying everybody should be getting everything for free, but I am saying that this country should make it very livable for everybody. We shouldn't say, oh, those people are rich, they need to be taxed to hell. And then flip the script and go, oh, those people are illegal and welfare scrummaging animals and they should be just kicked out of this country, and nobody solves anything. We just create this hate amongst each other, and that's the problem. We need to focus on how to fix things and not focus on how to separate each other and not get along, because nothing's going to get done. Finally, at the end of the day, is EBT and all of this really going to lapse? Are Democrats who support on voters that are in high amounts on EBT going to allow it to lapse without making compromise? Are the Democrats then responsible for not making the compromise to give to their voting base? Or is it Republicans playing 3D chess and trying to get Democrats to look bad in front of their voter base? At the end of the day, whether there is a compromise and the government goes from shutting down to being open, our states, especially California, with the amount of money it generates in the economy, should have funds that can help California go without federal funding for a while. And I think California and Governor Newsom are scared because they don't prepare for this kind of stuff. They think that the money's always going to be coming. So they've been spending it ruthlessly on illegal immigration and train tracks that go to nowhere for high-speed rail, or whatever ridiculous government budgets like that go into homeless encampments or homeless housing that never gets anything done, and hundreds of billions of dollars just go to waste and nothing gets done, while everybody gets rich that works in the government and all their pals, and everybody else suffers. There needs to be an audit with what's going on with these state budgets and these federal budgets, because we just can't spend as ruthlessly as we have been. Otherwise, inflation goes crazy, and it's already terrible, and the American dream of owning a house and having a family goes by the wayside. We all deserve better, and we all aren't going to get better if we see each other as enemies.